With 2020 fast approaching, Congress is tackling the issue of deepfakes. Lawmakers on the House Intelligence Committee held a hearing Thursday. They heard from experts on the threat that altered videos could pose to national security and the U.S. election system. The committee says its goal is to consider how to detect and combat this growing trend. This comes amid mounting concerns that manipulated content could be the latest weapon in disinformation campaigns.
What enables deepfakes and other modes of disinformation to become truly pernicious is the ubiquity of social media and the velocity at which false information can spread. We got a preview of what that might look like recently when a doctored video of Speaker Nancy Pelosi went viral on Facebook, receiving millions of views in the span of 48 hours. That video was not an AI-assisted deepfake, but rather a crude manual manipulation that some have called a cheap fake. Nonetheless, the video's virality on social media demonstrates the scale of the challenge we face and the responsibilities that social media companies must confront. Already the company...
For more on this, let's bring in CNET senior producer Dan Patterson. So Dan, for people who are not familiar with this trend, explain to us what deepfakes actually are.
Deepfakes are kind of the video version of fake news. They are fake content that use real content and manipulate that to say and do things that the subject never said or did. For example, they will take video of you, of me, of Nancy Pelosi, of Mark Zuckerberg, and overlay that with audio or images that have been manipulated using artificial intelligence to come to conclusions that the, let's say, hacker or the creator of the deepfake video to fit particular ends.
And CBSN actually saw firsthand how easily content can be manipulated after a couple of artists altered a video of Mark Zuckerberg. Talk to us about that.
That's right, Elaine. We should point out that there is a full story on CBSNews.com with the particulars here. But at the end of the day, what is important is that our brand at CBSN and CBS News is based on accuracy. And this was a fake video, was propagated using the CBS News and CBSN brands and marks. So we asked Facebook to consider, and Instagram to consider taking these videos down. And we do have statements from them. They said that we take intellectual property rights very seriously, and we've responded to CBS directly on the issue. At this time, the video remains subject to our standard process. That's from a Facebook spokesperson. They're not taking the video down. Instagram also said, but Facebook will put a little note under it that says this is a false video or that this is fake. Instagram, on the other hand, will not put that notice, and they said that we treat this content the same way that we treat all misinformation on Instagram. If third-party fact-checkers mark it as false, we will filter it from Instagram's recommendation services like Explore and hashtag pages. That's from a spokesperson at Instagram. So we can see the challenge that social media platforms have when they are optimized. These social media companies are built for speed, for content to spread very quickly. When you have bad actors manipulate content, it is very easy, as we heard in the opening statements from Congressman Schiff, for content to spread virally.
Well, so experts talked about this during the hearing, but what are some examples of how deepfakes can actually be harmful or dangerous?
Well, to business, think about a stock price, right? So if you have a video of, say, a CEO of a public company that purports to say something that could adversely affect the stock price, you could see huge economic impact. In politics, of course, you could certainly see how this is a pretty effective weapon in similar ways that fake news is an effective weapon. And when I speak to people in both the artificial intelligence communities in Silicon Valley and the cybersecurity communities, what they tell me is that the big concern is not necessarily that Russia or China will launch a full-out attack. That is certainly possible, but it is that this technology is so affordable and it is so easy to use now that anyone, an activist, a political campaign, up ticket or down ticket, could deploy this technology against their enemy. So although we look at, or their opposition, although we look at the top of the ticket and the big presidential race, really it's those down-ticket races, those local races that could be utilizing deep fake content in ways that we might never see or notice until it's too late.
So with all of that in mind, what are experts saying about the most effective strategy to combat deepfakes, especially ahead of the 2020 election?
When I speak to experts about this, they often pause and think for a moment. So what that tells me is that there is not an instant solution to this. That doesn't mean that there isn't a solution, but that means that technical experts don't have a ready solution. And they tell me things like, Elaine, let's all slow down before we click and share things. Now, that is fantastic advice. We should probably all do that, but that is not a solution to this content that is evolving very quickly. So right now, I don't know what the solution is, but we'll keep looking at this.
I mean, do we know what the lasting effects are of the deepfakes and disinformation, misinformation campaigns?
Well, we do have an indication of that when we looked at studies that happened after the 2016 election, and when we look at the Mueller report itself, we see that the intent of the Russian hackers was to undermine American faith and confidence in our institutions, not just in government, but other institutions as well. And the effect of deepfake videos could be exponentially stronger or greater than what we see with just text stories or social media misinformation.
Wow, it's just another example of technology really kind of skyrocketing to a point where we just don't know what the unintended consequences could be. All right, Dan Patterson. Dan, thank you so much.
Good to see you.